How could this happen to me? I've made my mistakes, got nowhere to run. The night goes on as I'm fading away. I'm sick of this life. I just want to scream, how could this happen to me? Hello, everybody. So it appears that our hero, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, has gotten humiliated at least 3 times on one trip, which may be a new record even for him. He recently went to China, and this was a. It's. I was trying to find more videos of it. This was the only one I could find. He just got off the plane. There's no red carpet. There's no band. There's no 21 gun salute. There's nothing. They're acting like he's the head of like Nehru or uh, Vanuatu or whatever they're called. Some like minor irrelevant Pacific island. And I think, from my understanding, if we go to what the House said, there was no red carpet. There was no senior Chinese official bothered to even go meet him. I think it was like the foreign secretary of the Shanghai government went to meet him. It wasn't G, it wasn't the foreign minister, it wasn't anybody. So that automatically is not a good sign. In fact, I think Blinken is this combined with the deputy governor of Ankara is enough to earn him an Argie nomination for Lolcow of the Year. And this seems to be like an ongoing thing, particularly the Chinese are doing, where they just meet foreign leaders with like completely irrelevant officials. And it feels like some sort of childish schoolyard thing where like we're just going to pretend we don't care about you, and it's like with the popular kid crowd and stuff like that. I have to say that I'm a big fan of it. Between this and Xi ghosting Biden and refusing to answer his phone calls, China's definitely been one of the more entertaining countries in terms of foreign affairs. So yeah, so Blinken showed up, nobody gave a shit, and when he left, not a single Chinese authority saw him off at the airport. Not one. Not even the deputy director of sanitation for Beijing. Not even like the Beijing city councilor. Not even the owner of the hot dog stand in Red Square. He just left, and the only person who saw him off was American Ambassador Mr. Burns. And it's so sad. Like, once again, do you think they do this to Nixon? Do you think they do this to Ike? Do you think they do this to Teddy Roosevelt? And they just take it like a bitch. And I like how the Hill's takeaway from this is China has out of control hubris. That's who's the problem here. It's not trying to start yet another beef. And I've been like, I was going to do a map, but there's just so many things. Like, we've had regime change in Armenia. There's attempted regime change in Georgia. There's the Syrian civil war is not over yet. Libya is still a disaster. We have Operation OBGYN in the Gulf of Oman. The Gulf of Aden. We have a possible war with Iran. We have the Ukraine thing. We have now we're going to bring in the Taiwan crisis and like a trade war with China, and and the Haiti thing. And you have all this stuff going on, and we're like Blinken goes there and tries to like start shit, and it's China's hubris. It's China's hubris. Now, what is it that Blinken did that was so bad? What was it that made the Chinese angry at him? Well, there's a number of things, but this was a speech that he gave, a press conference he gave in Beijing. So we're going to read this. Now, keep in mind, he said this while he was in Beijing. He didn't say this from America. He said this, like, I don't know if it was before he met Xi or like in the middle of his stuff. And you got to tell me, I need to get an optics check about this. And I kind of feel like this is hubris. Let's see. In my discussion today, I reiterated our serious concern about the PRC providing components that are powering Russia's brutal war of aggression against Ukraine. China is the top supplier of machine tools, microelectronics, nitrocellulose, which is critical to making munitions and rocket propellants and other dual-use items that Moscow is using to ramp up its defense industrial base. A defense industrial base that is churning out rockets, drones, tanks, and other weapons that President Putin is using to invade a sovereign country, to demolish its power grid and other civilian infrastructure, to kill innocent children, women, and men. Russia would struggle to sustain its assault on Ukraine without China's support. Ukraine would be fine without U.S. support. They'd still win, though. In my meetings with NATO allies earlier this month and with our G7 partners just last week, I heard that same message, feeling Russia's defense industrial base not only threatens Ukrainian security, it threatens European security. Beijing cannot achieve better relations with Europe while supporting the greatest threat to European security since the end of the Cold War. As we've told China for some time, ensuring transatlantic security is a core U.S. interest. In our discussions today, I made it clear that if China does not address this problem, we will. Like, as someone who speaks English as my first language, saying, if you don't do this, we will, that sounds like a threat. That's like your parents are like in the car and they're like, look, if you don't stop that behavior, I'm going to stop that behavior for you. It's also just an extremely condescending thing. And he said this when he was in Beijing on like a trip where he like wanted something from China. And this isn't hubris. This isn't hubris to go to someone else's country and to give a press conference where you threaten them. And you threaten them in a way that treats them like children. Like, you can think what you want about China. You can think China's high off its own supply. I just don't get what you have to gain by doing this. I guess these people are just so, like, so arrogant and just so megalomaniacal that they think if we just tell China like a child to do what we want, then they'll do what we want. Like, the world just doesn't work that way. This isn't Maoist China anymore. It's insane. It's so fucking stupid. Okay, let's see here. What else did he say? Okay, so where else do we have? Okay, he threatens them again. It's not what we expect of them. It's their profound concerns about the actions that Chinese enterprises are taking to support Russia's defense industrial base by engaging in regular commerce. I'm pretty sure China's not selling weapons to Russia. They're just selling a variety of goods. You know what? Stuff like wrenches and chemicals are used to make explosives. I didn't know if you know that, but China's like selling machine tools. And you need machine tools to build tanks. I mean, it's just... Blinken's blowing my mind here. But the actions that Chinese enterprises are taking to support Russia's defense industrial base, because this goes not only to the immediate threat posed by Russia and its aggression against Ukraine, it goes to a medium and long-term threat many Europeans feel visceral that Russia potentially poses to them. I had detailed conversations. We've already imposed sanctions on more than 100 Chinese entities, export controls, etc., and we're fully prepared to act, to take additional measures, and I made that very clear in my meeting today. Actually, that's the end of his press conference, as he threatens China again. In Beijing. Now, in response, this was, I believe, before Blinken's visit. This was something that was published. Now, this is the People's Daily. This is the Communist Party of China's official newspaper. Do you think anybody in the U.S. government follows their official newspaper and reads articles written by a spokesperson from the Chinese Foreign Ministry? Probably not. It's just a spokesman for the Chinese Foreign Ministry publishing an article in the Communist Party's official newspaper. It's not anything serious. So this is how China feels about the whole Russia-Ukraine-US thing. China firmly rejects U.S. groundless accusations over its normal trade and economic exchanges with Russia. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said on Tuesday. The United States keeps making groundless accusations over the normal trade and economic exchanges between China and Russia, while passing a bill providing large amounts of aid for Ukraine. Okay, so fueling the flames while shifting blame to others, this is just hypocritical and highly irresponsible. China firmly rejects this, Wang said on the Ukraine issue. China's position has always been just and objective. China has made efforts to promote talks for peace and a political settlement. The Chinese government regulates the export of dual-use articles in accordance with laws and regulations. China is neither the creator of the Ukraine crisis nor party to it. We never fan the flames or seek selfish gains, and we will certainly not be scapegoated. Wang stressed again that based on equality and mutual benefit, China's right to conduct normal trade and economic exchanges with Russia and other countries should not be interfered with or disrupted. China's legitimate and lawful rights and interests should not be infringed upon. It is not the right way to solve the Ukraine issue by fanning the flames or smearing others, Wang added. Accommodating the legitimate security concerns of all parties and creating a balanced, effective, and sustainable European security infrastructure through dialogue and negotiations the right way. Now, the Chinese tend to be, I don't know if polite is the right term, they tend to be very indirect when they're going after somebody. They tend to try to hide it behind politeness. This is not polite. This is them basically just in all but directly saying fuck off to the US. You have no right to tell us who we trade with, who we have relations with. They're also like literally saying the US is coping. They're like it's just a cope that your Ukraine policy's failing and you're going to blame us for it and you're going to say that Russia wouldn't be winning if we weren't providing them with stuff. We're not going to be your scapegoat. You aren't going to tell us who we're going to do business with, and you can just screw off. So I think this was before the or somewhat before Blinken's visit. Like I said, I don't think anybody in the U.S. government actually reads these things or takes them seriously, or they would have known that maybe like the whole thing where they threatened China while in Beijing over the relationship with Russia wasn't the best idea. Okay, so I don't speak Chinese, so I don't know if this is exactly what he said, and this is Sputnik, which is a very pro-Russian source. But we see Xi, like, pacing back and forth, waiting to talk to Blinken, and he just says, like, when is he leaving? And the assistant's like, he's leaving this evening, and she's like, thank God I don't have to deal with this dude anymore. Or I guess thank Lenin, or thank Mao. It's just like, he just doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to talk to Blinken. A lot of Chinese people were actually angry at Xi that they even allowed Blinken to come to their country because he keeps threatening them. It's she just does not want to be there. He's just like, this asshole will be gone soon, and then I can go back to doing other important things like clipping my toenails. It's just such a like, just such a. Oh. Like I said, there's at least 3 humiliations on this trip, which is a record even for Blinken. The arrival, she just being like, once again, this is the Secretary of State. This is the highest cabinet position, at least my understanding is, of the superpower of the strongest country in the world, of the United States of America. And she just can't even be bothered to talk to this dude. He's just like, get him out of here. I have other stuff to do. I have a call to take from like the chairman of the Communist Party of Laos. I have to take a call from like the deputy economic agricultural advisor to the government of Mozambique. That's more important than meeting with Blinken. It's just like, it's amazing. And this is where they are. And the response from all of this is that China is displaying hubris. Now, even if you think that, like, it's just the total lack of just self-awareness. Like, why does the US have to do this? Why do they have to like go in and like put their feet up on the table like Dave Chappelle in the Rick James skit and just start grinding dirt into China's couch and then to say, okay, you're gonna get me a sandwich, bitch. Like, why? Why do they have to do that? Also, another interesting thing somebody pointed out to me is China and Russia's trade is, from my understanding, about the level you would expect now after it's grown. Putin tended to favor trade with Europe prior to the Ukraine crisis, but it's shifted towards China in the aftermath of that. And how could they alienate both China and Russia? Like, China and Russia are the definition of frenemies. Like, they go through time periods where they're almost at war, and then they're China, Russia, best friends forever, 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 and then they go back to being frenemies. And it's like, you think you could have like separated them. I mean, you could have cut a deal with at least one of them. Once again, you don't have to appease China permanently, but could we at least resolve like maybe one of the 10 outstanding crises? And I wasn't even talking about the domestic stuff like the border. You have the southern border going on too. You have crime surging in American cities. And Blinken's like, it's time to pick a fight with China. We're going to go there. We're going to insult them. We're going to threaten them. And if they don't do it, we're going to say, we're going to start a trade war with China. And it's like, but dude, they fund your economy. You borrow money from them. Cheap, like, okay, so you're gonna cut off cheap Chinese goods. That's a great idea. Now, that's not to say I don't think the U.S. should be trying to reindustrialize in the long term, and maybe tariffs are part of that, and maybe renegotiating some of the trade agreements with China are part of that. But, like, there's no pragmatism here. There's no attempt to allow China to save face. There's no, like, treating China like another adult country. It's literally just treating them like a child and being like, if you don't settle down back there, I'm going to go back there and make you settle down. It's just an embarrassment. These guys are just such fucking F-slurs. And Blinken's rapidly becoming a lolcow. Once again, can you see Kissinger being treated this way? Can you see, like, Ike being treated this way? You think if Ike went to the Republic of China to see Chiang Kai-shek, like, they would have, like, sent the deputy mayor of, like, Taipei or whatever to meet him? No. That never would have happened. I would just like to display once again the welcome Putin got when he arrived in the UAE. Okay, so I don't know who those guys are, but you can see there's the carpet. There's I'm assuming they're sheikhs or important people in the government. You have a whole bunch of like an honor guard here. You can tell that the relationship is very friendly. Putin looks relaxed. The guy he met. You have this. You have him in like a motorcade. There's like ceremonial guards along the street. There's Russian flags. You have the Russian jets with the Russian flag. Like, that's how, if you're a world power, like, people should be greeting you, or at least like a modicum of like respect. Like, once again, he got greeted like a conquering hero. Um, and I mean, UAE and Russia have good relations. Um, it's pretty funny, but that's where we are at the moment. And then we have like more honor guard there, and then meeting the leader, and yeah, things went pretty good. And then when he met MBS, we got Putin here meeting MBS, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. They're getting along. They look happy to see each other. Like, once again, I just want to contrast this with how they're like they're treated when they're at, like, look, he gives them a low five. I mean, once again, you could say what you want. I don't think anyone would treat Putin that way. I don't think like Putin would arrive in a country and they'd send the deputy mayor of like this small town to meet him. But anyways, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Blinken is getting a nomination for Lolcow for this one.